UFC 132 coming up in the MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Nevada. Favor versus Dominic Cruz. First fight of the main event will be Matt Wyman versus Dennis Siver. This is going to be a very interesting fight. The clash of jiu-jitsu versus the striker. Matt Wyman is riding right now a three fight win streak, just like Dennis Siver is. Siver is a very good striker, but he also has developed an excellent takedown defense. He proved in his last fight, which was his most impressive one, against George Soteropoulos, who was a big underdog and completely dominated that fight. Matt Wyman as well, coming off a very good win versus a tough Cole Miller. But I think this fight will go down as Matt Wyman trying to strike a bit to get the takedown, failing on the takedown, and getting the worst of the stand-up. He's going to get beaten up for 3 rounds by Dennis Siver. I don't think Siver will be able to finish him. He does have an excellent spinning back kick. He has finished some opponents with that. I don't think he will. Matt Wyman has only been finished once against Fisher, and that was a huge flying knee. But history has proven that every time Wyman faces a very good striker like he did against Fisher, against Sam Stout, and against Jim Miller, he has been beaten up to the punch. He's got a good chin, so I'm giving this, my pick is unanimous decision for Dennis Siver. The next fight of the card, Carlos Condit versus Dong Hyo Kim. Excellent fight, both great fighters. The natural born killer Carlos Condit is already a top 10 welterweight. Dong Hyo Kim is a great prospect. I think he will be top 10 very soon. Both of them very tall, very lean, strong welterweights. I think Kim poses a terrible style matchup for Condit based on his style of fights. He's a judo black belt, excellent in taking the fights down, very unpredictable. He can shoot double legs, he can work the clinch like a traditional judo fighter, and Carlos Condit has proven to have some difficulty with those type of strong wrestling based fighters. He had trouble against Jake Shields, and when he fought in the WC versus Hiromitsu Miura, also a judo black belt, he had a lot of trouble until he finally finished him later on in the fight, but he did get tossed around a lot. It'll be interesting to see how he mixes up his striking against Dong Hyo Kim while worrying about the takedown. He has also shown excellent stand-up, not only mixing it up and keeping the combos up, but also showing knockout power. Recently, his last win versus Dan Hardy, just a beautiful left hook. Dong Hyo Kim doesn't have a very good stand-up. It's not very technical. He usually freaks out when he gets hit. We saw that in his last win against Nate Diaz. Later on in the fight, he was getting tired, and that's when he was getting tagged the most. Cardio has been somewhat of an issue, maybe because he does such a big weight cut because of his size, and Condit always keeps a very high pace, so it'll be interesting to see. My pick is Carlos Condit via 3rd round TKO. I think he's going to be tossed around a bit in the beginning, but he'll eventually turn the fight to his favor, kind of like how he did against Rory McDonald. And at the end of the fight, I think he will be able to finish Dong Hyo Kim with strikes in the 3rd round. The next fight of the night is Tito Ortiz versus Ryan Bader. This is typical wrestler versus wrestler. I don't even know what the point of this fight is. They're both not even close in the rankings. Ryan Bader is a top 10 light heavyweight. Tito Ortiz hasn't won a fight since 2006. I don't even know why he's still in the UFC. It must be just because he puts fans in the seats, and he doesn't even have that many fans. There's just a lot of people that like seeing Tito get beat up. I think it won't even be close. Tito just has his back against the wall here. He hasn't evolved with the sport, hasn't really improved in any area. And Ryan Bader is just stronger, younger, a better wrestler, a better striker. His only loss is against the champ, Johnny Bones Jones. And that big overhand right is gonna be a force to be reckoned with, because he's gonna keep mixing it up. Faking on the takedown, hitting the big overhand right, or faking the overhand right and going for the takedown. He's gonna probably knock down Tito somewhere along the fight, even though Tito does have a good chin. But I think overall he's gonna lose this by a decision. So that's my pick, Ryan Bader by unanimous decision. The next fight of the night, Vanderlei Silva versus Chris Leben. Great fight. They're both very, very much alike. Their styles are very similar. Chris Lieben has even admitted that he's mimicked Vanderlei's style, that he's learned a lot from him. He's kind of like an idol to him. And they're both sluggers. They come hard for the finish. They don't mind getting hit just to hit the opponent. And I don't see this fight not even going to the second round. I see a first round finish on this one. Vanderlei is faster. That's a big plus for him. Although Chris Lieben does have the better chin. Vanderlei has been knocked out a lot, but Chris Lieben did get recently knocked out in surprising fashion against Brian Stann in his last fight. Although I do still give the chin advantage to Chris Lieben. Also, something to take into account is that Vanderlei's coming off a 16-month layoff because of that big knee surgery that he had. He's also up there in the years. I mean, he's almost 35, I think, right now. So that must play in effect. Also, his last fight was his only fight at middleweight, which was against his win against Michael Bisping. But with all the time without fighting, the cut might also be hard again. I don't think he's gotten used to 185 yet. And in his last interviews, he hasn't looked as small as he should look for 185. So that could also be a factor. I'm still picking Vanderlei for first round KO. I think Lieben comes with his hands just too wide open, too low. He's going to look to knock out Vanderlei. Vanderlei's going to look to knock out Lieben. They're both going to be swinging wild. And I think Vanderlei's going to hit first, and it's not going to last long. I think this will be a first round knockout for Vanderlei Silva. The last fight of the night, the main event, Dominic Cruz versus Uriah Faber. It'll be a very interesting fight, seeing as it's a rematch. Their last fight was 4 years ago, and Uriah Faber won that by first round guillotine choke. That's his best move. That big guillotine, he's caught a lot of people with it, but that was so long ago, and they've both evolved so much, specifically Dominic Cruz. I mean, right now he's the bantamweight champion. The fight was not even in this weight class. It was in featherweight. He's riding an 8-fight win streak. He's the champ right now. So it'll be interesting to see how much they've evolved and how how it can be similar or different to their first fight. Uriah Faber has only had 2 fights at bantamweight, but they were both dominant performances against very tough fighters. Both of them top 10 bantamweights. Eddie Wineland, a former champion, and Mizugaki, who was a former #1 contender. I think this will be a style clash in a sense because they're both wrestlers. They both have great wrestling, but every time that Dominic's opponent has supposedly the wrestling advantage, he's the one that's getting all the takedowns. He proved that against Joseph Benavidez, who's actually a training partner to Uriah Faber. So the wrestling, I'm not so sure. Dominic has proven to be a very qualified wrestler, and he definitely has to take the striking advantage. He's got very fluent footwork, very elusive, hard to hit, and the way he mixes up his takedowns with his striking is very fluent. That's what keeps his opponents guessing all the time. Plus, he's got a lot of speed. I think he might even be quicker than Uriah Faber. Plus, he'll be longer and taller. So it'll come up to see. The fight comes down to whether he can use that footwork as he's done before to keep himself evasive, elusive, keep himself away from Uriah's power, Uriah's clinch, Uriah's great scrambling ability. Uriah's a great scrambler. He usually catches submissions off the scramble. That's how he actually caught Dominic on their first fight. So it'll come down to that. I think the first 2 rounds will be all Dominic Cruz. He'll be catching Uriah Faber with the stand-up, with some takedowns, mixing it up. But I think eventually, either late second round or early third round, Uriah will catch him on a clinch or on a double leg. He will be able to get him down. And once they're down, I see Uriah catching another submission. Might be another guillotine, might be a rear naked choke, but I see Uriah Faber winning this by submission. Those are my picks. You can leave your comments at the bottom.